always have a topic. So this week, instead of covering grocery land and all of the normal things that we're covering with deals and coupons, which is great, I wanted to talk about budgets. We did this in January, and now it is June. It's a good time to just review everything. So that is what the topic is for tonight. Just glad to bring it back around and help everybody to make sure we're all doing really well. You should be checking in. And honestly, with your budget, you should be checking in monthly. But I know a lot of us don't like to do that. We like to kind of close our eyes and just hope and pray that it's all great at the end of the month. And that's not really the best way to handle it. So at least a twice a year checkup is a good thing to do when we're talking finances. So to dive in terms of budgets, I'm going to assume hopefully that you have one, but if you don't, I do want to share one of the things, I've shared this every time we've talked about it, but it's a really great resource in terms of a free printable that you can use. So I just stuck it in on the comments. This is a Dave Ramsey printable that you can use to make your own budget. It's free and you are good to, I don't know why it put in a funny face with the link, strangely enough. That's humorous. But you can piece that out for folks on the Facebook side and take out the funny face. I don't know why, or for me, it's coming over with a funny emoji in the middle of the link. Hopefully for you guys, it's working. I don't know, but let me show you what this looks like. So I've shown it in the past too. I know if you guys have been on a Q&A, this is kind of old news, but this is a great budgeting tool if you are just getting started in terms of making your own budget without having to pay for an app. I'm all for if a service helps you stay accountable, paying for the service. But honestly, if you can handle accountability on your own, not paying for a monthly app is in your best interest. The reason we have a budget is to save money. So using an app that costs money to help you save money, sometimes not the way to go. Now, for folks, if you need the accountability, totally do it. I'm not trying to bash any of them, and we're going to go through some of those programs. But this right here, I stuck it in the comments. And the link isn't going to work on the Facebook side, Mindy, because it decided to, for some reason, put in an emoji in the middle of it. But copy from the CDN on, and you should be able to get it to pull up for you. I don't know why it put an emoji in, but hopefully you can make it happy. Let me see. Maybe if I just tried it just this way, I'll try it one more time and we'll see if it'll come over without the funny face on. Nope, still did it. Okay, well, you're just going to have to do some copying and pasting, I guess, on that one. And I'll come in and put it in afterwards directly on Facebook too. But let's go through this. So the gist of what this form is doing, it's really the gist of how to create a budget in the first place, is looking at how much money you have coming in. Now, one of the questions I get when we cover this in January every year is what happens if that money isn't the same. So, for example, you don't just get one set amount. Then you need to look at how much you made over the last 12 months, and you need to divide by 12. So if your income is fluctuating, if the summer is your low month, if you're in retail, for example, then you're making most of your money at the end of the year. But I can't just go on end of the year numbers, or I'm living in la la land, because come June, things are going to be crazy tight. So if you don't have the same paycheck from month to month, you take the whole amount you made in the last 12 months, divide by 12, and then go ahead and set that as your monthly income of what's coming in. So the gist of a budget is we want to list in anything that's coming in, and then we want to look at what's going out. And that is where I love this form, because it helps you to not miss any categories. And one other thing that you'll see, let's see, it used to be on here. And look at that, down below, if we kept going, is irregular income. So if you don't have a set income, they kind of help you to map through it. Just going to see, here we go. I like this one. So if you do pull this up, I've gone all the way to page 6. Page 6 is really the one, to me, that is a little bit more helpful than the earlier version. And it's because it has one thing added, and I'll zoom in just so you guys on your phones can see it. It's the exact same form that was like back on page 3 on this little freebie, but this guy right here, it's telling you what your goals should be for each category, and that's huge. Those numbers are pretty much standard. All financial planners are going to use them. All financial planners are going to aim for your housing budget to be about a quarter of what you're bringing in, but that's what they've put right here, and it's just not on that earlier version. So if you were going to print just one page and try to save some printer paper, this is the one you want so that you have the percentages next to what you're trying to focus on. And really this page is budgeted versus spent. That's what each column is for. So you have a spent column in terms of how much you actually used, a budgeted column. The earlier one was really just your budget, but you can only fill out half if you want. You really want the percentages though. They're going to help you. So in terms of this, we're looking not only at what came in, but now we're looking at what goes out. And another reason I love this is that it helps you to think about everything. Because a lot of times when we sit down and we want to have a budget discussion, we really end up having a discussion over just the topics we wanted to hit on. So it's not a full out budget discussion. It's hey, I got this credit card bill and it is crazy out of line, and we discuss this credit card bill. No, you need to discuss everything because you can, deal with one issue. There's really a lot of issues in play. So that is why we want to sit down and look at the whole budget and try to have that discussion. It's not always a happy discussion, but we do want to try to at least make sure that we've looked at all of the places where the money is going. And again, this form, I've stuck it in the comments, so if you are just joining us, the link does not work, I know, on the Facebook side because it decided to stick an emoji in the middle, but if you copy and paste, you should be good. Let's see. So, and Paige is saying, what do I do for utilities when they're never the same each month? So that's a great one, Paige. What I would recommend, and this really depends on your area and what they offer, but for your electricity bill, every single electricity company that we've ever been with, and there are 2 in our area now, but even when we've lived in different cities, they have all offered something called budget billing. So that's only going to help you on the electricity side, but budget billing is going to go in and look at what you spent in the last 12 months and divide by 12. Sometimes they go ahead and they add a percentage in for just an inflation measure, but not all the time. And then for you, that means that in the fall and in the spring, I'm not going to have the really sweet $50 electricity bill because it was nice and cool outside and we didn't run the heat or the air. But it does mean that during those peak months, it's always the same. It's always the amount that you knew it was going to be every single month. Now, if you end up overpaying with budget billing, so this is electricity, but some water companies also offer this. So you've got to check and just see what's available. But if you do end up overpaying, then the 12th month of your budget billing, so if you were to start this today, Paige, next June would be your 12th month or July would be your 12th month, you may end up not owing anything. You may have no bill if you had significantly overpaid. So if you did your budget billing and then you really cut down on your utilities or your electricity for the year, that would be sweet. However, it could mean that your next budget billing gets completely altered and raised to cover the amount that you were under as well. And most of them, if you're significantly under, they will reassess your budget billing mid-year. They'll start to tell you like, whoa, we don't know what happened here, but that number is not working for you. That rarely happens. We really do tend to use about the same amount of electricity throughout the year. The only thing that could end up hitting you is, May and June already have been off the charts hot. So this year could put you higher than last year for the summer, but it's a pretty sweet way to really not have those crisis months when the electricity bill comes and all of a sudden it's $200 and it's never been that high. Budget billing is going to take that away. It's going to take away the fun months too, but it's going to make utilities all the way around a lot easier. And just, it's a happy thing. So most of them have it, and you want to look into it. And that's what most of them call it too. So if you do call up, you want to say, hey, do you have a budget billing plan? And they will be able to get you on that. So Paige's other question, which I think is great too, and I think I have a way to even do this now. Look at that, Paige. Look at how fun that is. So doctor bills are once in a while they're not all the same. And how do you factor in those unexpected expenses as well? So with medical bills and other unexpected bills that fall in that category. So there's a lot that could fall in the same category. For me, with anything unexpected, this is going to be what's going to come out of your savings, or you've even budgeted for those. So I will say on this Dave Ramsey form, if we come back here, you'll see that there is a whole section for your medical. Now, again, budgeting for this can be impossible. For us, we're at the 4-year mark, but one of our daughters had massive hip surgery 4 years ago, and I can still vividly remember even the parking spot that I was sitting in when the phone rang and the hospital said, we need you to pay up front for the MRI before she can have it, and that's going to be $2,300. And just like, hey, I was just going to go grocery shopping, and you have just blown my day. But that is where the savings part is going to come in. We all need, the goal is 6 months saved of expenses. That is a very lofty goal that is pretty impossible for folks that are paycheck to paycheck. So what I would recommend, again, Paige, is let's look at what you spent last year. For most of these, if you can, look at what was spent last year and let's divide by 12 and try to budget that this year. So it's getting budgeted and it's getting saved automatically. Now, what we do for that is using we have a high deductible health insurance plan, and so it's going into a health savings account. And I would encourage you to look into those if you don't already have one. They're only good for folks that have a high deductible plan, but a health savings account, you can save up to the amount of your deductible every year. And you can do that monthly. I mean, if you had the money, you can do it in one lump sum, but you can tuck it away. It can be with your local bank or it can be online. So we use an online version, but it's wherever you want to put it. And this way, when I go to pay the doctor, I can actually just pay with that if I want to. I'm not even having to pay with my checking account or a credit card. I'm going to pay with the health savings account card. It's kind of like a flexible spending account, but different on one huge part, because if you choose the flexible spending account that some employers offer, with those you must use them up at the end of the year. In a health savings account, I do not have to use it up. So that's why we love it, because if I want to put money aside, make sure I don't spend it. This is getting budgeted for medical. I don't want to spend it. Then if I don't spend it at the end of the year, I haven't lost it. Now, once it goes into an HSA plan, it does have to eventually be spent for medical. So if this year we put in money and we didn't use it, we could use it next year and maybe put in less next year. I know some folks that actually use this or their goal is to use that account for like long-term care when they're super old. So you could leave it in there forever if you wanted it to, but it's a great way to save money. Put it aside and get it out of your account. Now, another option with any sort of expense like this, so let's go like car repairs, unexpected house repairs, having a savings account that is separate from your normal savings account. So every month I have it budgeted to put $100 aside for medicine. I didn't need it this month, but I've still auto put it aside, is going to be a huge way to make sure that you're doing your savings. And I mention this every time we talk budgets as well, but I will always feel that this is the way to go. Using online savings accounts that are not necessarily with your bank is a huge way to save. There is a good website for finding what accounts have the best offers right now, and that is bankrate.com. So I'll pull it up just so you can see. But bankrate.com, I am not affiliated with them in any way, shape, or form. But you can come in here and I can say, hey, I want to look at savings accounts. And then I can start to go hunting for specifically what I want. I would love to have $25,000 to put in it, but I don't. So find me an account that maybe I can start with just $500. Most of them you can start with zero. But look at this, just the fact that this exists. We could open a Citibank savings account with zero minimum balance and get 2.36% annual percentage rate right now. Your local bank is not offering that on a savings account. I can guarantee you. Now, some credit unions may. I know the last time we did budgeting, someone jumped in for Navy Federal Credit Union with some really great offers, and I was off trying to figure out who in the world could help me become a member, because you had to have retired from the Navy, been in the Navy, or be current. I didn't manage. I tried to talk my dad into it. He was in the Navy a very, very long time ago, but he wasn't game. So this gives you some ideas. These are 2 sponsored results that return, but if you click on all products, that's right next to it, you'll see every bank that they have in here and what their requirements are. Now, these are all for online accounts, but the reason for that is that it's harder to get a hold of your money, and it's still there, but it's going to earn more than brick and mortar banks, usually when we're talking interest rates. So if I'm going to save some money up, I'd like to be getting something back for it, and this is going to let you do it. Now, putting it in the online bank does another thing for you. It's really making it harder for you to touch the money. It usually takes about 2 to 3 days to transfer the money from the online bank to your local bank. Usually there's no limit on transfers. Depends on the account that you pick. And you want to read the fine print and just make sure. But you can direct deposit from your local bank and say, hey, every month I want to put $100 in this account. Done. I've saved for medical, or I've saved for car expenses, or just either leave it all in that account or even have sub-accounts with that bank. If you wanted to go really, OCD and have everything in its pocket, basically, you could do that. So this is what we do, and the way that we use this in particular is that we do not have anything escrowed on our mortgage. So we, and to be able to do that, by the way, you have to have 20% down and when you purchase your home. So for us, just various houses that we've sold through the years, we've been able to save that up. We don't currently have anything in escrow on our current mortgage. So that means at the end of the year, we're responsible for the tax payment and the insurance payment, the things that normally in your escrow, they're going to make those big payments for you. But come December, we owe all of that money. Well, that's a scary month to all of a sudden get a huge property tax bill. So this money gets put in an online account so that come the end of the year, we aren't in crisis mode, because we would be. Not only does our house insurance come due that same month, but our car insurance and our property taxes for cars, all of it comes due in the same month, because December is just a great month to do that for some reason. It's in an account. I don't have to worry about it, and it's auto done. So it is a huge way to handle doctor bills and other unexpecteds for sure. And then Jennifer's asking, how do I access this money when it's in an online bank? So Jennifer, you are going to link the online bank and your local bank. That's how you're going to get money in it in the first place, is in your local bank. You're going to put in that routing number, an account number, and they'll give it to you when you set up an account with the online bank. They'll give you those numbers, and they will help you link, because they know that's how you're going to put money in it, your local bank. And so I will link the local bank, and I can send money into the account, and then through that same link, I can send money back out. It does take about 2 days in both directions for the money to clear both accounts. So just to know that you are going to have a little bit of a delay. It's a good thing. It's a good delay. There is no magic walk in and go crazy in a store, because that money is not in my checking account right now. Okay, so some folks are asking, let me back up, for a question on the high-deductible account. Maria is asking, what are the benefits of a high-deductible healthcare and how does that work? So Maria, the main benefit with high-deductible healthcare, the only benefit really, is I guess there's 2. I can get a health savings account. So I get some tax benefits from a health savings account. A health savings account has the same tax benefits almost as a 401k. All the money goes in pre-tax. So we don't pay any income tax on the money that goes into a health savings account. It also comes out tax-free. So once I use it to pay for medical expenses, I still don't have to claim it on my personal income taxes. The other benefit for the high deductible plan, in all honesty, is just that the plans are cheaper. So that is why we are on one. Those two reasons, I guess, but really it is massively cheaper for us as a family of 7 to have a high deductible plan versus a plan that has a copay. And you need to plan out, look at your own medical expenses before you make that decision too. How much did you spend last year? How many times did you see the doctor? If you've got a lot of health issues and you're regularly at the doctor, having a copay could save you a chunk of money. For us, we go to the doctor pretty much for well visits. And even then, I'm a nurse. And so half the time I look at my kids, I'm like, you are not dying. We are not going anywhere. So you have to be really, really sick before I will take you somewhere. Whether that's good or bad, I don't know. But generally, well visits is it. And the plus side there is that on current health insurance policies, well visits, your yearly physicals are 100% paid for, even on high deductible plans. So we're going to end up paying out of pocket for anything above and beyond a well visit, but the well visit itself is going to be completely covered. As an example, I actually got a bill in the mail today. I had my well visit 2 weeks ago, and I owe $19 on the whole visit, and some of that was really on some extra labs that she had drawn. So, it's not a huge expense to be high deductible, especially if you're only going in for those healthy visits. But if you're going in a lot, then you need to kind of weigh, is this worth what we would spend or not worth what we would spend? And really kind of do a cost analysis, I guess, of what is, of what one's going to be better for you. So Anna is asking, is there a good place to find a high deductible plan? I've searched for my husband because he needs to be on his own and we're self-employed. So Anna, a couple of places. First off, as we talk insurance, June is a rough month to talk insurance, guys, because you're not actually allowed to start a new insurance policy right now. So I should tell you that. The only way that you can technically start a new insurance policy in June is if you have a job change, a new baby, a new marriage. I think there's only a few options for you to be qualified to be able to start a plan right now. But the window will open, I think, November 1, and then you could join one. But to go hunting, what I would do, Anna, I would honestly use like the e-health insurance, or look around and see if you can find a local insurance broker. So, just to kind of in a sense, give a shout out to folks that are local insurance brokers, because they're incredibly helpful and you don't pay them. So this is one where, maybe finding the yellow pages would come in handy. But the local insurance broker is going to sit there and do all of that hunting for you and then lay out all the plans in front of you and tell you these are your options. They can even do this if you're in the marketplace and you're going with a subsidized plan. They can still help you. And there is no cost whatsoever to use them. They get their money from the insurance plan, but you're obviously going to tell them what you can and can't handle. So I might go that route. E-health insurance is the same thing. It's just an online insurance broker, but kind of like the in-person side. We had someone recommend one in town for us that we've used a few different times when we've made some switches. So I've been very pleased with that and never paid him a dime out of my pocket. Let's see. I'm still here. So hopefully, for someone said, where did I go? I haven't gone anywhere. And the accounts, Sarah, that I was just mentioning are on bankrate.com. So that's what we were looking at. This is this website, and I can put it in the comments for you. is bankrate.com, and it is it's a free website as well. So you can type in and search away to your heart's content, and you're gonna find a lot of options. You can sign up for the account straight through them, or you can go directly to the website, whichever way that you want. I do think that they get a little bit of a cut if you go through them, which is fine, I guess, just telling you. Jennifer's chiming in and saying insurance brokers are sometimes called general brokers, so you could go that route too. Okay, so, and Matt, thank you. Matt's chiming in with another huge option for insurance. I guess this is a big topic for a lot of us, but trade groups are another way of finding possibly some very inexpensive plans. You'll be surprised how many trade groups actually offer a group insurance rate for people that are part of that trade group. So look into it and see if something is available for you. For example, my father-in-law is a vet, and I know that the Veterinary Association, or whatever his is called, offers something that he could use. My husband is an engineer. IEEE has offered things in the past. So finding out, first off, is there a trade association you should be a part of, and is that a benefit of the trade association, could end up saving some time too, or saving money. Paige asks, when can you usually start shopping for health insurance? So Paige, you can totally start to shop for health insurance now, and you can see all of the rates, but I will warn you, most of them do not have their 2020 rates out. So as you hunt for rates, they'll probably even have that as like a little caveat below them, that if you're not eligible to start a new plan right now, so you haven't had one of those major life events of a job change, etc., then it'll say like what you're viewing are currently 2019 rates, and you need to be aware that the rates could change when you went to actually start the policy, and then you can officially sign for a policy starting in, I want to say the window started November 1st last year, and they had shortened the window significantly. It used to be October 1st, but that's the window that you want to start at. So yeah, life event or November 1st. But you can start to hunt now and have an idea of where you wanted to go for sure. And I don't, in the last 2 years, I would say the rates haven't been a drastic increase. The huge increases were 3 or 4 years ago when people were trying to get their feelings, all the numbers set on what this was really going to look like. So you could definitely start now if you wanted. Okay, so let's move on. We've been on insurance for a bit, and we could almost do a whole Q&A on insurance, but we've hit a lot. And again, so Paige has another question on it too, but in terms of just trying to figure out what it all means, I would actually head to eHealth Insurance, their page. They've got a lot of helpful pages on what a high deductible plan means. There are also some good calculators, and I'll go hunting for you, Paige, and I'll try to put them in the comments when we're done on just some general good how to figure out whether a high deductible or a copay plan will be right for you. Good calculator pages, so that might be helpful too. Okay. So to jump back into other things budget-wise, we are in June. 6 months have already happened. What do we do at this point if we're way off kilter? I would say if things are super, super crazy, so let's jump back to that Dave Ramsey for a second, the form that we were looking at. And if you pull this up, and maybe you did in January, pull it up, and you printed it out, and you made a copy, and you got it all set, and now that you look at the numbers, you killed every single one of them. None of them are on track. I would go ahead and let's use what you have been spending. Use last month's numbers, and let's reassess for the next 6 months. Can we get back on track? If we pad some of these categories to handle where we're over, would that help us get back on track? Should we just crumple the piece of paper and start over with a new plan? I don't know that I would go, 100% to throw it away, but I would consider how bad you've done and then see whether or not that damage is controllable. And I would also make sure that is a conversation that you're having with your spouse, your partner, whoever you're sharing this budget with. Because if you're both doing really poorly on it, it is going to be helpful to see how bad that's looking. What I would also do, so June's a good time for doing this because in January, you're usually in crisis mode. You just spent a lot of money for Christmas, and the idea of sitting down and doing a budget is painful because of what you've already spent. But in June, a fun thing about sitting down and looking at your budget now is that we're coming into the summer. It's the beginning of the summer. So sitting down and looking at your budget and seeing, even if you're off, we haven't been doing well. This is not looking so great. But we're kind of in a point of the year where we don't spend a ton of extra money. And if we really did buckle down, we could set some fun goals. So maybe you say, you know what, we haven't been doing well. We're over in 4 different categories. But if we could move some money around, maybe for the rest of June, we're not going to eat out at all, or no more coffee. You know, even if we make them little things for the rest of June, and we took that money, we got ourselves back in the black. Maybe we give ourselves a fun goal of we're going to go away for a weekend in July. We're going to set a fun goal for the end of the summer if we can turn some things around in the next couple of months. Now, obviously, if your budget is so out of whack that making some small adjustments isn't going to help, a trip may not be in the budget, but you can still give yourself some fun rewards for hitting those goals that you've set for yourself. A budget needs to be achievable. So if you are thinking, we looked at all the numbers, we can't hit them, we're just going to leave them all in the red, you haven't really set a budget. You've looked at numbers, but you haven't actually assessed or in any way made this work. It has to even out in the end, or you will never come out of the hole that you're in. So hopefully for you, you can kind of find some ways to make some of those changes. So let's talk about those categories in particular. As we look at this form, what would those categories be that could potentially be categories that you didn't spend money on? So a lot of those, in all honesty, are on the right-hand side of this sheet of paper. Most of this side is discretionary, not all, but most. And the left-hand side, not so discretionary. We need power. We need water. I did post today ways to save on campsites, and you could go live in a tent for a little bit, but I don't think long-term that's going to be the best option for you. So really looking over on this side and realizing what can we make some changes on. So we could, and I'm going to make this just as big as I can, so we're just looking at that one side. We can definitely address restaurants. It's not the favorite thing to have to do, but it is an easy thing to do. The best way to keep yourself out of a restaurant is to meal plan. So maybe for the month of June, you're going to turn over a new leaf and you're going to meal plan. If you have not already, if you pop over to Southern Savers and you click on Frugal Living at the top and you click on Recipes, you'll actually see we post recipes every week, but the top one is a monthly meal plan for June. So this could totally help you. It is mapped out. You can print it even with a different meal every single night. We've been doing this for the last few months, and hopefully, that can help. If it doesn't, then you can pull up May, and all the links are there. May, April, March, February, and look at some other ideas for meal plans. But that's going to help you stay out of restaurants. So we can nix this potentially. I'm not sitting in your budget conversation, but it could be nixed. Clothing could also be nixed potentially for the summer. To chime in on clothing, if there's things that your kids desperately need, Goodwill. So these exist in every town, and a tip for Goodwill is finding out 2 things. Do they have an overlap day? So our Goodwill in Columbia, South Carolina, if you shop on, I think it's Sunday, is their overlap day, but I might be wrong. It's Saturday. I'm rarely in there on overlap day for us. You actually get 2 days worth of $1 deals. So in our Goodwill, a shirt will have a little piece of plastic that would normally have like your sale price on it. It's just the plastics run through, and it's by color. So this week might be yellow, and next week is green. The week after that's orange. You get the idea. Whatever is yellow is $1 this week. Well, on the weekend, whatever that overlap day is, yellow and green will both be $1. Some of it isn't worth $1. So, keep that in mind. But there are some good finds in there for $1. So making a regular habit of swinging in and only looking at the dollar section, or you might get caught by other things, is a great way to go. Or making the assessment with your kids and saying, hey, you desperately need a new pair of church shoes, then swinging in on once a week and seeing, is there anything new that might work for what we need to get us through this time. That's going to help to bring down the clothing budget significantly. Now, I don't know what your clothing budget currently is, and it may be nothing. There's obviously not much that you can cut from that, but that is a huge way and kind of a fun way. Goodwill is a treasure hunt, and you're going to find some pretty fun things there if you just take a second and learn the process. It's fun. So some other ways to go here. Transportation, obviously, for most of us is not something that can be cut, but we could ponder some changes that we could make. Can we carpool? Can we reduce the number of times that we're going to the store? So let me just, soapbox this for a second. For my couponers, who I would hope is all of you, but how many times are you running around town for deals? As gas continues to rise, as it gets hotter outside, all of that, is it worth the trips that you've made? So for me, I do all of my shopping one day a week. I will confess that I went to Costco tonight. That is a rare exception that I ever head to town on a Monday, but I did. Generally, once a week is the only time that I even get in my car to drive somewhere. If we can reduce the number of trips that we make, that is going to significantly save on gas. Other ways to save, even on gas, Publix gift card. It just ended on Sunday, but watching those gift card deals, Kroger is currently running 4 times the fuel points on gift cards through June 18th. You're going to see Winn-Dixie and Buy Low both running fuel point promotions with gift cards for Father's Day. Racking up on gas station gift cards. So they all sell them. They all sell Shell and BP and all the others. And getting those discounts with the gift cards is going to be huge as you're trying to save on fuel. Now, another one, as I mentioned that I ran to Costco tonight. I don't normally shop there, so I know that always will make a question, and it wasn't for us. The only thing I bought was like a 3-pound bag of almonds for us, and rotisserie chicken that's off the bone. It's my favorite thing at Costco. But we were there because we were in charge of cooking a meal for 50 people on Wednesday night, and that was where I knew I could do it the cheapest for that number of people. So that was my trip, just to clarify why I was there in the first place. But even there, if you're a member already, you've already paid the membership fee, or Sam's right now is currently running a free Sam's Club membership. Gas, if you're already there, gas is significantly cheaper. So for us, Costco gas is $2.29 a gallon, and I know prices are different all over the country, so you guys could totally chime in and tell me how cheap it is in your area compared to here. But Costco was $2.29 a gallon, and the gas station that I would normally stop at on the way home was $2.49. That's 20 cents a gallon cheaper to get it at Costco. I already have the membership. Now, I'm not saying go and get a Costco membership just to save on gas. I would go with the free Sam's membership over the Costco one because there are no free Costco memberships that are out there, but it is a way to save if you're trying to cut that transportation and gas section of the budget. And then medical and health is the other one that we were hitting on. There's not a ton that we can do in this section either. So it's going to be dining out, it's going to be clothing, it's going to be entertainment. So over here, let's talk one particular section. It's like the elephant in the room, but just to highlight him and make him really big, if the budget is not matching up, this section should go away. So, I'm not there to hold your hand, but if we aren't making ends meet, paying $110 a month for DirecTV or whatever it is, it doesn't need to be there. So just someone said it. Just gonna leave it like that. Okay, let me try to get to some of your questions for sure. And Jennifer is also chiming in. When you're looking at your budget and you're saying, why do we go so off budget? You need to ask is it because the car died? Is it because something huge happened, like we lost our job? Or is it because Every time I go into Kroger, I can't resist the Starbucks, and I can't resist other areas of other parts of town. Does this always happen? So when we're looking at the budget too, am I noticing that every month we're always killing the gas budget? Then the gas budget needs to change. It needs to be increased, and some other part of the budget needs to be decreased, because there is a point where you can only take so much out. And if that's the problem, if you're looking at all of those categories of your budget, and again, I'm just loving, this form just works when we're talking about it too, but if you're looking at all these categories and it's not lining up, then we really only have, I'd say, 3 options. Option A is we have to bring in more money. We need a second job, we need a different job, whatever that's going to look like. But that's option A. It's not always the easiest option. Option B is that we're going to cut things where we can cut them. But if we've done all the cutting that can physically happen, we have to eat, we have to have a house, we need electricity. If we've cut everything else, then we need to start looking beyond that. Are there some resources that maybe we're not using? Are there potentially, if you're super strapped, have you even looked into whether or not you're eligible to go into the marketplace for health insurance and to remove that health insurance cost off of the list for you, or other resources that might be there? They aren't horrible things. Food banks are wonderful things if you need them. If this is not in any way going to line up and we cannot pay the bills at the end of the month, you got to eat. And if that's the case, use those resources that are there. There's no questions asked usually. Well, I take that back. They will ask you questions, but there's no, I really mean it in the sense of no one's going to look badly on you for being there and needing those resources. So please, I don't want to assume that all of us are in a hunky-dory land, because I have no doubt that some of you are not. And we've been there month to month. I have done the making a phone call and telling my husband, please do not get lunch out for the rest of the week. There is no money in the checking account. No. So if you're in those boats, make sure that you're taking advantage of what is available to you for sure. And then, another one, Matt is chiming in, definitely going cash for any of these categories can help you stay too. So that's going with the envelope system is what a lot of people have for that. So basically you say, you know what, for the clothing category, I'm going to allot $50 for this month. And you literally take $50 and you put it in an envelope, and you only use that $50 to pay for whatever your clothing is. That's your $50 Goodwill budget. That would be really steep in Goodwill and would buy a lot of clothes. But you get the idea. So when the cash is gone, there is no more purchasing allowed in that category unless you rob from another category. So you go into Goodwill and you see something you have to have, then you could take $5 out of the dining out category. But that's the gist of how the envelope system works. Just be smart about where you put your envelopes so that no one finds them, or else you have a whole nother problem. Okay, so to jump in, make sure I got everyone else's questions. And Jessica says, I haven't paid out of pocket for gas in a while. I used gas card deals to stock up on them and then always get the Shell cards. We're the same way, Jessica. We're usually always paying with a gift card and just stretching that as far as we can. But I didn't have a Costco gift card tonight, so that one did have to get paid out of pocket. But I'll gladly take the discount on the cheaper gas on that one trip. So paying with those gift cards, though, definitely helps when it comes to budget time, because when you're sitting down here and looking at your budget, you still need to figure out where it's coming from. So for me, when I buy the gift cards from Publix, that's not coming out of the grocery budget. It is still coming out of the gas budget, but you need to either move them over yourself or, kind of have an idea of where those gift cards are going, but it definitely helps to control your spending too. My husband's also chiming in on one thing for car. If you're trying to reduce that section of the car, could you change your own oil? YouTube can teach you lots of things in this world. My car needed new brakes, so a huge gold star for him. He gave me new brakes this past weekend, and massively cheaper than going and having someone else paying to have your brakes put on. And then potentially downsizing. So if you have a brand new car and you can't make your car payments, let's go with a used car. Let's go with a free car if someone else has one that they'll loan to you for a little bit. But the older the car, the cheaper all the way around that this is going to be. Just to emphasize that. My mom is looking at getting a new car, and so here, Mom, if you're watching, the older the car you get, the cheaper. Maybe not in the repairs category, and I know that's the part that gets a lot of folks because they think, well, if I've got all these repairs coming up, then I might as well just put this into a new car. Guys, once you make the repairs, you've made the repairs. It's not going to need a new timing belt for another 100,000 miles. It's not going to burn through them faster just because it's older. So keep that in mind. But when it comes to insurance, when it comes to taxes on the car and the monthly cost of the car, all of those things are cheaper on an older car. Now, I'm not telling you to go get some 1979 station wagon, but if you're looking at your car and you're looking at the whole transportation category as a whole for you, and things aren't lining up all over the page, well, if you've got a 2018 car, you're paying out the nose for car insurance. Your property taxes are incredibly high on your car, all the way down. So switching up, selling your car, getting an older car, that could be a huge benefit in that category. Just saying. And his other chime on that is when you are looking at doing that, going with a reliable car, researching reliable cars. So, Toyota Camry, Honda Civic, those are dependable cars that, my first car was a Honda Civic. It was made the year I was born. But that was the car that I had when I was 16, and it's probably still going somewhere. I wouldn't be surprised at all. It had no air conditioning, so whoever's driving it is miserable. But you can't kill them. So going in that situation. Oh, and Sarah's chiming in and saying, how do we get the free Sam's membership? Let me see if I can find it. Sarah, it's a deal that we posted over the weekend, so I'll go back and dig. But it is you sign up for the membership and you get a $20 Sam's Club gift card back, and you get $50. Here we go. I love it when they're nice and easy to find. And you can get a bunch of freebies and discounts with the membership. So it's free after all the things you get back, but you get back more than the price of the membership. So it's at least a deal versus Costco, who may give you a $10 Costco gift card. There's not a lot of deals that are usually running on that. And Sarah also chimed in. Sometimes I'm able to find y'all's comments and sometimes I'm not, but to put them up on the screen, I'll try to get better. Sarah chimed in and said, too, that she managed to cut her electricity bill by 25% by unplugging everything and her cable box and cut off her hot water heater until 2 hours around the time that she needed hot water. And actually, for the hot water heater, if you're interested in that, they do sell timers for hot water heaters that you can get and install, and so you don't have to sit there and remember to turn it on and off. If anyone's watching, you're like, what? Got to set an alarm to go get hot water first thing in the morning. That would really stink. But they set timers for them, and the hot water heater will turn on when the timer tells it to turn on, and then it will turn off. So if you always take your showers first thing in the morning and then you're gone from the house for the rest of the day, the hot water heater is off for the rest of the day. So you can look into that if you have a tank water heater. Now, if you're a tankless water heater, which is where everyone is going, then that is not an issue at all. You're only going to have hot water when you need hot water. That's the concept of a tankless, but that is one way to save on a tank hot water heater. You can also find insulation that can go around them. Water heaters are typically where people assume that they are using the most of their electricity. Another way, just random tips to save on your electricity. If you have a freezer, this is not a problem at our house, but if you have a freezer that has a lot of extra space, I haven't had one of those in years, but if you have one, then saving juice bottles, milk jugs, anything like that, filling them with water and putting them in the extra space in your freezer makes the freezer stay colder longer and not have to run as often. So we actually We don't have extra space in our freezer, but literally every open nook and cranny has a water bottle shoved in it. Not necessarily to save on electricity, but that is our form of ice. And I will chime in on this one too. So my engineering husband, when we went to the beach a couple of weeks ago, he decided to fill them all with salt water. And we learned that it is crazy cold. So we used saltwater jugs the entire week that we were at the beach. We didn't buy any ice, and we just would take one out and refreeze it, but they would stay cold and frozen for almost 2 days in our ice chest, maybe even longer. He can chime in and tell me if it was longer, but it felt like about 2 days in my book. So that is one way to definitely reduce the cost of your freezer and increase the efficiency of it by just filling every extra hole. You can always pull them out. They're just filled with water. They're just throwaway jugs. So if you've got a ton of stuff that you buy, take them out, let them sit on the side and thaw, but put them back in when you need them. And it's definitely going to save some. Let's see. And then cutting cable, folks are chiming on that. So, I already told you, it's got to go for sure. If you are looking into cutting cable, there's a lot that you can get and try. So what I would recommend is almost every service offers a free trial. Some of them are a week, some of them are up to a month. Take advantage of those. And for a bit, just free service hop until you can make up your mind. Once you make up your mind, go with that, stick with that plan. Also, look for ways to save even on those plans. Like right now, for example, Best Buy, if you buy a $50 Netflix gift card, you get a $10 Best Buy gift card as well. Or Hulu, $50 Hulu gift card, you get a $10 Best Buy gift card. Well, I can use that Netflix gift card to pay for my Netflix account. That's going to pay for almost 4.5 months of Netflix. And you got a $10 Best Buy gift card on top of it. But we see those same deals in the drugstores too. So when you see them pop in for the service that you already get, then take advantage of them. And you can use that to pay for your Netflix, for your Hulu, whatever you're choosing to get. We don't see deals on Sling like that. I wish that we did. So anyone that goes with Sling, that is a tricky one. But it's definitely, if you go Netflix, a really good way to save on the Netflix and the Sling side. When it comes down, let's see, folks are talking about root. I think I missed the root part. Jessica's saying we switched to root. So I don't know what that one is, Jessica, and a couple of you are too. To cut your insurance by $120 a month. I'll look into that one. We haven't tried it. We're a year away from having teen drivers, and I do not want to know what that's going to look like, having twins that can drive. So if you know what it's going to look like, don't tell me. Just let me live in my blissful ignorance for the next at least 6 months, and then I'll deal with it. Root is an insurance company. We'll at least look into it. But what I will say for insurances, and even when it comes to, didn't mean to show you guys that. When it comes to any of your utilities, obviously electricity and gas and water, this one's a tricky one. But phone, internet, etc., these guys down here, these should be bills that you call and renegotiate every single year. So if you have not called recently, it is time to call and say, hey, are there any deals that you're running right now? Because my bill is just crazy. And also pit them against each other. Say, calling, I don't even know who the cable companies are anymore, but DirecTV, Comcast, whoever's still around, and saying, hey, can I get your best offer? Hanging up, calling the next guy, hey, this is the offer that I got from so-and-so. Can you match it or beat it? And most of the time they will. They want your business. So always kind of pitting them against each other, seeing what they'll offer, seeing maybe they don't have a deal right now, but for the same price, they'll give you twice the speed. Great. Whatever. Just tell me what my options are in terms of finding a deal. And sometimes just calling and seeing what is available. So we have a propane tank outside. We don't get gas run to our house because we live in nowhere land. But even that, recently my husband called and on the last time it was filled up and said, what? This price is crazy. And they gave him a discount. And that was on just a service. That wasn't we get a choice. We don't get a choice. They are the ones that provide our propane because they own the tank. But they still gave the discount just for making the phone call. So never hurts to try. Never hurts to try. Just going to say that. And the same with insurance. So car insurance, house insurance, all should be renegotiated once a year, looking at all the companies that are available. I would look at ratings for those companies, and there's a lot of ways to find that. Just Googling, Geico reviews, Progressive reviews, and just seeing what people say. Keep in mind with reviews that usually only grumpy people leave them. So you'll find a lot more grumpy people than you will happy people. But asking your friends, posting on Facebook, hey, does anyone have any thoughts on this? And listening to those thoughts before you dive in is a good idea too. But it's definitely going to save you some money to make those switches. They're going to you'll be surprised. Okay, to jump back up and try to get caught up. And Lynn, thank you. So Lynn says you miss my Publix weekly hauls. I haven't shopped in Publix in the last 3 or 4 weeks. I haven't done a big grocery shopping trip at all, I'd say, in the last 3 or 4 weeks. I am planning on shopping this week, but then I don't know that I'm going to have time for the next few weeks. I was just figuring it all out. We have Vacation Bible Club every Wednesday night for the next 4 weeks. So I will be running home and slamming groceries in various places and then running back out the door. But I might be able to do the videos on Thursday. We'll see if I can fit it in. So I'm sorry. I'm glad that you've been missing them, I guess. But I'm sorry that I haven't had time to do them. So Paige is saying, and I'm going to stick yours up here, Paige. I'm debating getting a Roku to try out other streaming platforms that won't stream on gaming devices. Do you think it would save me any money to get one and try it? So yes, in a way. There are always offers, Paige, for free Roku devices when you pay for 3 months worth of, like Sling usually offers it, and a few other services usually offer them as well. So look into those before you decide, definitely before you pay out of pocket for the Roku. Because if I'm going to pay the same amount of money to buy the Roku, I might as well get a free service with it. So look into those. Sling, if you just go directly to sling.com, a lot of times they have it on their website, what their current free device offers are. They've even run one for Apple TV and various others. So I'm telling you that, and I'm hoping that it's still there. Yes, sling.com on their homepage. So I will share my screen. Get a free Roku Express. So if you click on offer details, you'll see how. But if you prepay for 2 months of Sling, then you get a completely free Roku Express. And you might as well. If you're going to get something for, if you're going to at least get something for the Roku instead of just paying full price for the Roku. I didn't mean to go completely out of Sling. You've kind of gotten double for your buck in a sense. Now that said, they are currently running, or they have been running a sale on it. Oh yeah, 40% off your first month. So you can kind of play with that too. It's like a $10 discount. I don't know. I'd probably just go with the paying for 2 months. Maybe you even get them both. Maybe you get the discount and the Roku. That would be ideal, but do that for sure. And yes, so Jennifer's also saying Amazon Daily Deals. So the Amazon Fire Stick has been really cheap, and you could go with the Fire Stick. We have tried a few of them. I might have my husband chime in for you, or it looks like he has for you already, Paige. But with the Fire Stick, we weren't as impressed as we were with some of the others. We've tried the Google Chromecast, which I don't think anyone's really selling much anymore. And we've tried Apple TV. So we've tried every device there is, it feels like. But Roku is the one that we've stuck with the longest. One thing that I will say for the Roku, and I don't know if these exist on the gaming consoles or not, but there's a lot of free channels on Roku that you can add to your Roku box that give you a lot of content that you can watch. So looking into that as well, there's a whole weather channel. So come hurricane season, I don't miss the weather channel. It's not the normal weather channel. It's the Roku free weather channel. but possibly better depending on what you get tired of on the Roku channel or on the actual weather channel. But looking into that might be something too. So kind of just Googling Roku free channels and see. We even found there's some free games. You can sit there and play, what is it? It's like the old, my brain wants to say Battlestar Galactica, but that's a TV show. I don't know. The old one where you're in the little ship and it just moves across the screen. You can play that on your Roku. Minesweeper. We can go back to the early 1990s with Roku games. And do you have to have an iPad or iPhone to use Apple TV? So no. I mean, you just hook it up to any TV and you can use the Apple TV. It comes with a remote and you're good to use Apple TV with any TV that you had. Hopefully that helps too, but I think that you're going to be happier outside of the Apple TV realm. It's not as simple as Roku when it comes down to it, and it's more kind of restricted. Apple likes to restrict things to Apple things, and guys, I'm a little bit of an Apple fan, so I'm not trying to be mean to them. I think you're just going to be happier on the Roku versus the Apple TV side. Okay. In terms of budgets, we've hit on everything. I do want to mention two things that we haven't touched on, and that is apps for budgeting. So I mentioned in the beginning that I really want you to stick with ones that are free or doing it yourself on the piece of paper. But if you want something to try to get all these numbers together in one place, to not have it all in your brain or not all have it on a piece of paper, the one that I would recommend the most, like 100% the most, is mint.com. Mint is free and it is through Intuit. So it's the same people who own TurboTax. I'm not going to say that everything about Mint is wonderful. There are some things that I would change. The reporting on it isn't as wonderful as it could be. It's free. And it is a great service to use for being free. So I love Dave Ramsey. I don't agree with Dave on everything, but his program is $99 a year. That's a lot of money when you're looking at monthly expenses and things aren't lining up to come up with and pay for. A cheaper version that's not quite as much as Dave is YNAB. YNAB is You Need a Budget, is what it stands for, but it's ynab.com will get you there. And YNAB is still has a cost, but you do get to try it for over a month. And also, a plug here, if you want to go with YNAB, is if you decide that you love it and you get your whole budget back on track and you tell all your friends that you get your budget back on track, for each friend that you send to them, you get a free month of YNAB. So, you could have big goals for yourself and just make it completely free if you wanted to go that route. It is one of the ones that most people have just kind of a lot of good things to say about it. The Dave Ramsey side, I'm okay with. But yeah, Jennifer, I love your comment. So I'm just going to stick Jennifer's comment up here. It just says it all for you. Yeah. So when it comes down to paying for an app, if you can handle it yourself and use paper, do it. Use an Excel spreadsheet, do it. If you want to go even cheaper than YNAB, because Dave isn't going to ever be cheaper than that, the next option beyond YNAB, honestly, would be to go with Quicken, which, again, I feel like we're going back to the 90s, but Quicken is still around, and with Quicken, you can buy the program. So this is, just a general Google search here just to show you what I mean, but you can buy the basic Quicken starter for $35. You own the program, and it's going to do all of what Mint does. It's the same people. They own Mint. It has actually a better reporting than Mint, but it's going to bring in your checking accounts and your credit cards and all the things that these online programs do, but without a monthly cost, because you bought the program and you still own it next year and the year after that. So I know it is old school to own a program these days. Nobody does that. Now we buy Microsoft Office yearly for some reason. I wouldn't do that if I were you. Just use Google. But if you wanted to, the Quicken side is definitely going to be a lot cheaper than a monthly system. And Lynn is commenting and saying, Dave has a free version. He does. The problem with the free version, it does not import any of your data. So you're still going to have to manually key in everything into it. And it's going to take you about a week of that, and you're going to decide, yeah, I am just going to either pay for it or we're going to get off this system, because you aren't going to want to key in every single purchase and every single purchase on a credit card into the system to be able to use it. And they know that. That's why they made it the free version, and they kind of push you to upgrade all the time. Definitely. So, and just in general, figuring out a way to do your budget yourself or to do your budget the cheapest it's already a savings off the top. So we've hit a lot here. I want to talk on one more thing. So I told you we were going to do apps and one other thing, and that is your grocery budget. So I didn't talk about that when we were looking at the Dave Ramsey form, and I just kind of went straight to restaurants. But in terms of your grocery budget, as we go and we look at the Whole Foods section, even for my couponers here, you could be a die-hard couponer getting all the deals that you can get, but if you don't have a grocery budget, then you are way overspending. I can guarantee it. I saw, even today, somebody shared an Instagram picture with me that someone else had taken. And yes, it was a great deal in CVS, and I'm proud of them for finding it. They filled their trunk with things that were normally $13 and were all $3. But you filled your trunk with them, and you probably spent $100 on all of that with the massive amount that you purchased. Yes, you got a deal. But if you don't have the money, then the deal isn't a deal at this point. So please, no matter how much you're couponing or not, please have a grocery budget and try hard to stop yourself when you hit it. Because it doesn't matter how many 50-cent things you buy, they add up quickly to cost $10 and $20 if you just keep going. So I'm just going to say it and leave it there. It's like cutting the cable. I'm not going to rant at you very long on it, but you do need one. And I would recommend that what you do, if you haven't ever set one before and you have been buying all the deals and not holding yourself back, or you haven't been couponing, either one, if you're in either one of those boats, I would encourage you to look at what you spent last month on groceries and attempt this month to cut it in half. And to be able to cut it in half, you are going to have to restrict yourself on deals. So Lynn was saying she misses my Publix hauls. And guys, if you look at what I grab in Publix, even the deals that we grab, we only grab 2 or 3 of them. We're not going overboard. When the money is gone, the money is gone. So you got to do the same thing you would do with every other section with your grocery budget. So just saying. Okay. And a few other things that folks are chiming in on. Jessica is saying, for anyone that's self-employed, QuickBooks is a good app. I would say to be self-employed and not have QuickBooks, I can't even imagine it. Yeah, you should go that route. We do not do the app. We do not do a monthly. We own the version of QuickBooks, and I think we own the 4-year-old version of QuickBooks, but you're going to save money anytime you can own it versus paying monthly. Your accountant may really want you to be online, but they still make thumb drives, and you can totally download it and send it to them instead of being monthly if you want. Paige asks, great question, do I put my health, beauty, and cleaning supplies into the grocery budget, or are they separate? Paige, it is all in one. That's actually very easy for me, though, because all of that's coming from CVS. Pretty much, if I don't eat it, it is a drugstore purchase, and 9 times out of 10, I paid nothing for it. So very easy to put that in on the grocery budget, shopping the drugstore deals. But yes, all in one together. So groceries as a whole and all household expenses are together. Clothing gets separated out. But beyond that, even if I was in Target and buying all those other things, they're all in the category together. There's one thing in our world that is not in grocery, and we're probably in a different boat than most of you, but we don't have our pet food in on our grocery budget. It's in its own section. I mean, we've got, I don't even know how many chickens. Somebody in my family could tell me, but it's not my job to go out there. It is a child's job to go and get eggs every day. I think we're at 16. I don't know, there's more in an incubator somewhere. So having chicken food, having horses, that can't be in my grocery budget, or I would never be able to feed people around here. But we have ways that we save on that too. And we actually just talked about that, I think last week or 2 weeks ago. So just so you know, it isn't. Pet food is not in the grocery budget. And I know for a lot of you, pet food is, but there's a big difference between a dog and a cat and everything that lives here, for sure. And then Rachel's asking, how would my husband watch football if we didn't have cable? I don't get all the options. So if we're talking NFL, that is a tricky one. NFL and baseball, if you're wanting any of the professional sports, getting those on streaming can be tricky. You're going to need to look at what the options are with NFL packages directly. So they have their own channels that you can subscribe to just the NFL side of things. They even have channels that will let you subscribe to just one team. There are some other options potentially if you want to go with the DirecTV route. You can stream that now and going maybe with just a streaming plan instead of I don't know. You can look into it all, but in terms of professional sports, if that's the thing that is holding you onto cable, it may be a really hard one to solve, and I think they know that. They know that they've got you cornered. It would be great if we saw the NFL do what baseball did with T-Mobile customers and giving them an entire year of, the MLB Live TV through T-Mobile.com, or all T-Mobile users. Wonderful for T-Mobile users if they saw the same thing NFL-wise. But we've never seen any sorts of deals on the NFL channels like that. Okay, and then Paige is saying, is Chewy really cheaper on pet food than the store? So no, Paige, Chewy is cheaper the first time, just like Amazon right now has been running 50% off your first order. Chewy also runs 50% off your first order, but after that first order, you're cheaper to stick with local stores, with grocery coupon deals, or even local farm supply stores. So our dog and cat food, chicken food, all comes from Tractor Supply. And going crazy, we're part of their rewards program. They send us a coupon every quarter for 10% off our entire purchase, and then we'll just get as much as we can for the next quarter. You get the idea, but the local farm supply is probably the cheapest you're going to be able to get. Thank you, Jennifer. I completely forgot about YouTube TV. So look into YouTube TV. They are one of the cheapest options. We're actually pondering it for this fall. We only pay for YouTube or Sling or whatever we're going to get during college football season. But YouTube TV does have the most number of channels that are out there, period. So at least look into it. The other interesting thing, we haven't tried this, but we're trying to convince a brother-in-law to join us, is that YouTube TV does allow you to have multiple family members on the same plan. I think we managed to convince our brother-in-law to join in on it, and that cuts the cost right there in half if you can split it with folks. And they get to watch their own channels. It's not going to, force only one of us to watch at night, but it's definitely something to look at, look into if you're trying to cut it. So YouTube TV, Sling does have ESPN as an option, and some ESPN channels. ESPN Plus now exists too, but it's pretty limited on what's there. And then going directly to the NFL side. Let's see if there's anything else with what we've got. I think that I'm mostly caught up on everybody. I know sports is a tricky one, guys, but I promise when it's college sports, you can do it. We haven't missed anything lately. You can do it. I even got to watch a Florida State baseball game the other night, and no cable. So you just got to get creative and go hunting to see where things are. But they are there, and there is a way to stream them. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and call it for the night. We will be back on next Monday night and back at it with couponing-related topics. But I always enjoy the nights when we get to talk about other things. So hopefully you guys, enjoyed just a refresher on budgets. My plan for next week is actually saving at warehouse stores. So I went to Costco tonight and told you I don't normally shop there, but we do have a membership. We also have a membership to Sam's because They know if they're going to give us free memberships, we might as well get them. And there are ways to save there. So we're going to hit on that next week on what to grab at a warehouse store, what not to grab at a warehouse store, and then all the things therein. So I hope you can join me for that one. Same time, same place, always Monday night at 8:30. And feel free to tell our folks to join us too. So thanks again for joining in tonight, and I hope you guys have a great week.